Hi. Oh my god. Guess who just watched episode 6? I am... I was right to be so tense. Oh my god. Okay, so firstly, things from the... I'm gonna say some things from the last episode, so I forget. It's like, yeah, I found out later Neo was not pointing to her eyes like, what happened to your eye, Cinder? She's pointing her mouth like, I can't talk, Cinder. So no one needs to correct me for that if they were planning on it. Yeah, and I might not have done enough screaming about bees in the last episode, video, but I'm sure that will come later. With this one, yeah, it's like it didn't go down the way I was thinking it was going to go down, but it went down in a very similar vein, if that makes sense. Oh my god. It's difficult to even begin to say, because it was all one moment stretched on for about 20 minutes, and I say stretched on in 20 minutes, it felt like 5 minutes. The pacing was so good, it just flowed very naturally. There wasn't anything that seemed out of place. It was just I can't clip my fingers properly. It was just happening, one thing after the other, and they did a really good job of creating tension. In the last episode and in this episode, and I have to distinguish them because I didn't watch episode 5 but then episode 6. I watched episode 5, waited a week, and watched episode 6. It's... Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about the Grim. I really like this Grim. I think it's one of their most thought out Grim designs, because some of the Grim are like, this is a wolf monster, this is a slightly bigger wolf monster, this is a bear monster, this is a slightly bigger bear monster, this is a scorpion that is very big, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like monsters and they're decent monster designs, but I like things that have this idea of lore about them, like the RWBY, which was based on a real creature of mythology, which is even more sort of spooky, creepy. If you Google it, it's one of my favourite spooky monsters. That one. I'm a bit of a monster nerd. Don't know much about myths specifically. I just like monsters. Wow. But this is one that had its own kind of lore based upon it, and not I wouldn't say specifically based on any creature, although you could argue that there's all manner of undead that is sit in a similar vein. But in my reaction, I called it the Depression Grim, because that's what it is. It dulls all your emotions until you're completely numb to them, and it makes you want to not do anything, and it makes you tired all the time, to the point where you don't want to get out of bed, to the point where you can't get out of bed until you just die. Which is yikes. It's a very monster design. It's interesting in terms of Grim as well, because they're attracted by negative emotions, but they're attracted by them, but they don't require them. They just require destruction, which is interesting. You know, to be attracted by a thing and then to stop it so you can destroy the thing that's creating that signal. It's quite an interesting thing. It distinguishes it from other Grim, because, like, none of them seem to have any specific powers, like, linked to their form in such a way, you know? Generally, it's like, my power is that I'm big, my power is that I can fly. My power is I'm big and I can fly. Or, like, some of them could breathe fire, which is decent, you know? I'm not slamming those things, but it's a real like, it's like, it works on multiple levels as well, because it's literally like what's happening, like their mental state anyway. I said the depression grim. I think it's quite reasonable to suffer from something after all they've been through. Like, every single one of them, yeah, feels bad, but yeah, I think it's good. It acts as a metaphor and functions well as a monster. And also, I like the visual design. It's just pretty solid, and it's like, you get a lot of, like, quote unquote zombies, monsters, where they're like undead and they travel in groups and that. And you get a lot of, like, I was gonna say slender men, but that gives the wrong sort of connotations. I don't mean Slender Man, just the elongated humanoid form, a very skinny, wasted away sort of thing. But they've put them together with this thing, and it just, like, it doesn't feel so much like a copy and paste. It feels complete, like it is solid, and I don't know if that makes sense. But it doesn't just feel like, oh, it's another undead cannon fodder thing. You know? It's just a really good function of it. And I love the way they laid them out in the, was it water tunnels, waterways? I don't know. You know what I mean. The underground space where water flowed and it was filled with tunnels. They used their elongated thing and undead-like nature to sort of bend them and snap them at the wrong twisted angles into place, so they could arrange them into this huge mass of contorted monsters, and that's really good. I love that. I love that, like, trope. I don't even watch horror films or anything. They set off my anxiety, so, like, no thanks. Like, I have enough fear in my body at all times by myself. But I don't watch horror films, but I do like that, the sort of, that visual trope, I guess, where someone's walking down this tunnel thing, and they turn and, like, it's completely, like, empty, or at least if it's not empty, there's, like, no sign of any monsters, and then they just turn into the next tunnel and it's just filled with them to a degree which is absolutely bewildering, and you're just, like, in shock because there's just so many crammed into this one space. And then they see the person, and the person's like, oh, and has to just run. This was perfect for that. Everything about these monsters was really, yeah, it was really good. Top notch monster design. I'm sorry, I don't want to fill this with just me talking about monsters for 20 minutes, but I'm just, I really like monsters. I really like monsters. It's so good. Top notch. Fantastic. The drawing was pretty fun. I did laugh a bit because of the edginess, but edgy is valid. Edgy is valid, especially in RWBY. Half the characters are edgy, so yeah. Yeah, I just think it's a good, it functions extremely well. I was thinking it would go in a different direction, like RWBY would wake up and no one else would wake up, and she would have to figure this out by herself, or her and Maria would be awake. Because I was one of those people that did sort of go, well, she must have silver eyes. It's like, Rooster Teeth, you've given us a character who is like an elder figure, I suppose, and would know things, and she doesn't have any visible eyes. So everyone was like immediately like, she was a silver-eyed maiden. It's like, or at least she was. Technicalities. I don't know if you still count when you have no eyes, but point is, everyone's like, oh, silver-eyed maiden, and I looked at that theory and I was like, yeah, that's correct. Otherwise, that was a real red herring. I mean, which is valid, but silver eyes content. Now Ruby can ask her about her silver eyes because Ozpin's not going to tell him anything apparently, ever. Oh, I'm glad to have that. I'm glad to see him do something. And the Grim wasn't like, its power was more intelligent than the physical Grims as beings seem to be. So it sort of makes sense to me that she would have the flashes just disintegrate them. Like that. Like, they're not like, if it was like a huge, I mean, she did do that once, but that was from more grief. You know what I mean? It seems plausible to me. It's a very soft magic system with Ruby's magic. Not, you could argue differently about aura and semblances, but like, because there's different magics. But magic, I'm counting Silver Eyes as magic and not semblance magic. I've said magic too much. But yeah, I'm glad that that was a thing that happened, and glad that that plot line has been introduced, because finally, because you know, 1 in 3 finale, and nothing's really been asked or wondered about, and obviously, like, that's not been my biggest like writing beef with RWBY. It's not a perfect show. It's a show I very much enjoy, but it's not a perfect show. So I'm glad, like, Volume 6 seems to have this idea of, like, the writers have listened to the feedback, and then they're giving us what we want. You know, like, the stuff we said we liked, and the stuff that we said was missing. They're like, boom. And it's difficult, it's a difficult balance for writers to tread, because you don't want to just be, like, giving your control to someone else entirely when it's your story, but also you need to listen to people in order to improve. And there's a constant having to toe this line about which advice you should take and which advice you shouldn't take. So I'm glad, like, I don't know about everyone else, but I think all of everything they've done so far I've really enjoyed. Episode 3 was a bit but I don't know if that was an episode to be enjoyed, but to be experienced. Like Infinity War is as a film, you know, that Marvel film. I didn't watch that and go, well, this was a fun thing to watch. I just went, this is a thing to watch, if that makes sense. That was my emotions after watching that. We were just like, that was certainly a thing that happened. And I would watch it again, so it's not like a bad thing. It's just like there's so much processing you have to do, and so much like emotional entanglement where you're just like, you know, you've got to just take a deep breath and give yourself a minute. So episode 3 is in that area, but everything else I'm like, yes, you know, like everything, like, it's been nothing that really irritated me. I'm just really enjoying this volume. It makes me happy, because I want things to constantly improve. I don't know, I wouldn't want all of these videos to be me complaining. I just want to rant about the things I'm hyperfixated on. Yeah, there were some good moments in this as well. Some interesting character moments. It's just the specific ways people like gave up. I always didn't want to go back to Atlas. She was like, why do we have to go to Atlas? Well, not like, why do we have to carry on with the plan? And Crow's drinking became worse. Yang seemed more like defeated. Let's say that. The Blake one was sad. She just collapsed to the ground and was like, it's okay. As someone with like issues with like depression and anxiety myself, the whole well, I think Blake's mental state in the past, like, well, 4, 5, 6, so past 3 volumes, I guess, has been pretty relatable and consistent, and that is a very low moment thing. It's just sort of like giving up to the point where you're just like, it doesn't even matter anymore, sort of thing. That's that one was a lot. I'm glad that I didn't have to see that for long. That was hard. She looked so dead-eyed. Like, by the well, of like Weiss, Blake and Yang all looked very dead-eyed, and Ruby did for like a split second, but that was rough. And having like Ruby reach towards her and Weiss panic and run, like try and get to the doors open, and Yang like crawling up the stairs to try and reach the door so at least someone gets out, and like Ruby just pleading and not knowing what to do. That was a lot. Like I didn't think any of them were gonna die because that would make no sense. But I was emotional, you know. Like that really got my heart going, like which is very good because it's you get a lot of things in media where like some, you know, like, have you ever had like, you probably have watched a TV show or something and then it's been like this main character died, and then you're like, no they didn't, it doesn't make sense for them to die in the story right now, so you're going to bring them back, and then like the next episode or something they just come back and it's like, haha, you thought I was dead but I wasn't, and then your whole audience is like, none of us thought that. Not even for a second. We know how tropes work. So that was good writing. Because I panicked for a little bit. I was like, oh, no, don't hurt any of my girls. And yes, Maria counts as one of the girls. I love her. She's very valid. 10 out of 10. Like, you know, I'm like reverse adopting her. She's my grandparent now. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. And now it's a bit nerve-wracking because almost every single thing in the intro has happened. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head which hasn't is the Jean. There's a like scene in the intro where Jean pushes Oz into a wall. Juniper haven't had a moment where they've been angry at Ozpin yet, so that might happen later. Because don't forget, there's a difference in timelines between different stories. Like the RWBY thing and the Villain Squad thing seems to be happening like current. That seems to be like, okay, should we call it the present? I'm going to call it the present just for a distinction. Like, time isn't real, but I'm just trying to explain present. And when Cinder went to put on Miss Magnetai, it said that the team left for Argus. Wait, they either left for Argus a few weeks ago, or they left Argus a few weeks ago. So either way, Cinder seems to be a bit in the future by some time, unless it literally was they left for Argus a few weeks ago and it took them a few weeks to walk to Argus. But like, no thanks. So Cinder and Neo looks like they might be in the future. So we don't know when their paths are gonna cross. We don't know what's gonna happen in this time. It's quite nerve-wracking. The show's like not drawing attention to the idea that their paths are gonna cross yet. And I'm just like, what's gone on in this time? It's concerning. And I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get to Atlas in the snow. And they don't have to walk because they've got Bumblebee and they've got that thing. I can't remember the specific technical name for it. I'm just going to call it a trailer. I've got the trailer now. But yeah, it's not going to be like an hour. It'll be a few days at least. Probably a week. I think there might be ocean to travel across, but I'm not entirely sure because I can't remember the map off the top of my head. But yeah, so we don't know when they're going to catch up. For all we know, Cinder can meet them there in Atlas. You don't know with this show. Even like this volume so far has been fairly predictable up to Neo. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Because it's not I wouldn't say it's predictable in the sense that I can predict everything that happens, but in the sort of like it makes sense for this sort of thing to happen, or this sort of plotline to be introduced, and then that's introduced. But I can't say like the specific events word for word. Like if I could say something now and it described every single episode in the volume, like after this one, then that would be bad predictability. But if I say something like Blake and Yang resolve their conflict, Crow and RWBY have some kind of arc, Oscar has some kind of arc, we find out something about what's happening with Team Juniper, then they've got off the train. We get something about Adam, we get something about the villains. You know, like those aren't like specific plot points, you know. Like that's predictable in a this is what makes sense for the story, and the story's going to have that sort of way. And that's the kind of thing I like. I like to have a plotline introduced and then to see it meet its conclusion. That's what I'm looking for, and this volume has that, so yes. This is shaping up to be my favourite volume so far. So yeah, I'm very excited for the next episode. I'm a bit less scared. I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. It's all been this moment. So I don't even know what characters it's going to focus on. We're probably going to see the main girls at some point, balance their probability, but I don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting. But yeah, anyway, that was just my take on it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the episode, to be honest. I hope you enjoyed that more. I'm shaping up to like this volume so far. And I'm excited to figure out I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next, and for all of these plot lines that have been introduced to happen, and for characters which didn't get a lot of development before or had lapses in their writing to get some. Like these focuses. these focuses on like Ruby and Cinder and Emerald, characters which have like the writings have been a bit with, you know, is that's good with me. Some of my favourite characters, which in RWBY is not saying much because I stan almost every character in RWBY, some of the evil ones as well. I have a lot of faves in this show, but yeah, I need to stop rambling about how good this is shaping up to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to comment about your thoughts on things so far. Just no spoilers for any episodes, because as you can tell by how late these videos are, I don't have a first account, and plus I'm busy a lot of the time because of uni, so I might not see episodes for late. So that's why I upload late, because otherwise I'd upload the same day. Because I have the enthusiasm, it's just the time. It's always just the time. But yeah, just feel free to comment. Just tell me what you're thinking. You know, just no spoilers. But you know, do you have any theories, any headcanons? Is there anything you like? Is there anything you don't like? Just yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video, I guess, and I hope you have a good day.